oturumumuz var. Yalnız oturum İngilizce. Simultane tercümanımız var. Kapıda kulaklıklar var. Ben konuklarımızı davet ederken isterseniz oturumu dinleyebilmek için, Türkçe dinleyebilmek için bu kulaklıkları alabilirsiniz girişten. Önden bir söylemiş olayım, sonra konuklarımız geldiğinde bir kargaşa olmasın. Çünkü kulaklıklar sanırım kimlik karşılığı veriliyor genelde ama bir sorun isterseniz, bir sıkıntı olmasın diye. Türkçe dinlemek istediğinizde taktığınız kulaklıktan Türkçe dinleyebileceksiniz. Çünkü bu oturumda bizlerle birlikte olmak için kilometrelerce uzaklardan gelen konuklarımız var. Şimdi insana, gezegene ve geleceğe değer dedik. Temamızdan bahsettik biliyorsunuz. Bu oturumu çok kıymetli bir isim modere edecek. İlk önce kendisini davet etmek istiyorum. Bilgi Üniversitesi İletişim Fakültesi Dekanı Profesör Doktor Itır Erhart gelecek alkışlarınızla. Buyurunuz Itır Hanımcığım. Hoş
Merhaba,
geldiniz.
hoş bulduk.
Nasılsınız?
Çok iyiyim, siz nasılsınız?
Çok teşekkür ederim. Siz ne tarafa oturmak isterseniz?
Ben sanırım şöyle geleyim.
Tamam, peki. Evet, aslında arkamda birbirinden kıymetli katılımcılarımızı şu anda görüyorsunuz. Şimdi, ilkini davet edeceğim. Eşitlik, kapsayıcılık ve adil çalışma ortamları yaratma konusunda derin bir tutkuyla çalışan bir lider kendisi. Kapsayıcı iş yerleri inşa etmek için en iyi uygulamalar ve somut araçlar geliştirme konusunda uzmanlaşmış bir stratejist. Kanada ve Amerika'nın önde gelen çok uluslu şirketlerinde 25 yılı aşkın süre üst düzey insan kaynakları liderliği yapmış, sürdürülebilir iş gücü modelleri geliştirme ve organizasyonları geleceğe hazırlama konusunda derin ve güçlü bir deneyime sahip, bir o kadar da tatlı. Ben böyle küçücük bir sohbet ettik, bayıldım. Synclusiv Başkanı Nicole Piggott geliyor alkışlarınızla. Hello Nicole, it's your turn at last.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you so much for
How are
having
you?
me.
Nice to meet you again.
Hello again,
On stage.
Nicole. Welcome.
Efendim, sıradaki konumuz pozitif enerjili konutlar odağında yürütülen ve 5 ülkede pilot uygulama alanı bulunan LEGOFIT projesinin proje koordinatörü. Kendisi
Beril.
11 ülkeden 19
So we
ortağın
have
yer
the
aldığı
picture,
uluslararası
so we
bir
trying to
konsorsiyumun
sit
ana koordinasyonunu üstlenen, sürdürülebilir ve yenilikçi yaşam alanları üzerine çalışan değerli bir isim, Demir Enerji Proje Müdürü Sayın Beril Alpagut geliyor alkışlarınızla. Efendim hoş geldiniz.
Merhabalar.
Nasılsınız Beril Hanımcığım?
Teşekkürler sizler.
Sağ olun. Hemen mikrofonunuzu düzelttim. Hayır, hiç düşmedi.
Tamam.
Sesiniz duyulsun diye biraz daha.
Duyuluyor herhalde.
Yani duyulur. Biz her şeyi, biz kadınlar her şeyi duyarız.
Hoş geldiniz.
Arka odada ne konuşuluyor, yanımızda ne konuşuluyor, karşı masada hepsine hakimiz. Kulağımızda duyuyor, dudakta okuyoruz maşallah. We can hear everything, anytime. Evet efendim, bu arada bu oturumda projenin Hollanda'dan uygulayıcısı Heijmans Enerji BV'den İş Geliştirme ve İnovasyon Yöneticisi Ronald Folbert çevrim içi bağlanacak. O yüzden ekip arkadaşlarımızdan da bu arada Hollanda'dan değerli konuğumuzu da bize bağlamasını rica edeceğim ama bilmiyorum, görüntü buradan mı olacak, sesi mi gelecek?
Galiba olamayacak.
Olamayacak mı?
Evet ama biz ona bağlanacağız.
Bağlanacaksınız.
Biz onu yöneteceğiz.
Siz onu halledin.
rahat olun,
Tamam
evet, onu
efendim.
çözeceğiz.
Ekip arkadaşlarım ve Itır Hanım da bundan sonrası ve bir konuğumu daha davet etmek istiyorum. Dijital dönüşümün en güçlü küresel markalarından birinin Türkiye lideri, kadınların teknoloji alanında daha görünür, daha güçlü ve daha etkin olması için aktif bir savunuculuk üstlenen bir model. Oracle Türkiye Genel Müdürü Merve Söylemez'i sahneye davet ediyorum. Hoş geldiniz Merve Hanımcığım. Sizin görünülmez olmanız mümkün mü acaba bu zarafetle?
Yanınızda görünüyorsam hala çok
Ben
mutlu oldum.
bence şu anda görünmüyorum. Buyurun lütfen. Thank you for everything. So we're gonna listen
Thank
to
you.
you all.
Thank you.
Efendim, iyi dinlemeler diliyorum sizlere.
So thank you. It's wonderful being here on this morning. It's a very important day and we really would like to thank all the organizers, Nazlı for sure for this event. So I have really valuable guests. They have very interesting, very noteworthy stories to tell, so I won't speak much. And I will begin with Nicole. So we're so happy to have you with us. We had a wonderful chat in the backstage. But for our listeners to meet you, I'll ask a few questions about the work you do, but we're so proud to have you here.
Thank you.
So you're one of the pioneering figures of gender equality certification in Canada. Your work inspires a lot of people. We know that for some companies, this is just something to check, right? Okay, we're done, complete gender equality. But your approach is very different. And this year's theme is Very for People, the Future, and the Planet. So based on your experience, what is the most critical steps, or what are the most critical steps towards gender equality for a brand? What should they do to be to be actually sincere and really do the work?
That is such an important question, because we all know that when everyone was talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, a lot of people jumped on this. But many organizations jumped on it for the wrong reasons. It was for reputation, it was for marketing, but organizations that have actually reaped the rewards of investing in gender equality are those organizations that look at it through two lenses. They look at it through how they are dealing with employees and the internal practices of the organization, but they also look at how they're interacting externally with communities, with the suppliers that they're hiring, what does their board of directors look like? You need to see that cohesiveness in the way you are operating as an organization internally. And that, when you're looking at an organization internally, it's more than just employees. It's the systems that you navigate within your organization. How are you recruiting? How are you marketing? How are you setting strategy? How are you communicating within the organization? How are leaders behaving towards employees? So it's really a holistic approach internally, but also how you're interacting externally. There needs to be a balance there.
So that's very critical, because sometimes it's seen as a PR project and done under the PR department, right? So if we don't transform the whole culture, actually we can't get much further.
Exactly. And you'll see, what we've seen with companies that we've worked with, is you'll see fluctuations. So they'll do well one year, and then they're dropping off the next year. Or their highest level of turnover in their company is with women. And that's an indicator that you're not embedding it in your organization.
So my next question is about intersectionality. So that's a very critical term we started using, because before, like maybe 5 years ago, this was never the issue. We thought all the women have the same needs, right? But we realized there are distinct needs for different women. So we have people with disabilities, we have women coming from different ethnic backgrounds, we have migrant women, and they have distinct needs. So from your experience, how should brands, companies approach the issue of intersectionality?
So when we created the gender parity certification in 2017, one of the distinctions that we made compared to other things that existed before was we felt you had to look at gender through the very variety of lenses that gender comes in. Women are not just women. Women are mothers, women are single, women are of a certain age, younger, older, wealthy, rural, urban. There's so many things that make up what a woman is, and their experiences are shaped by those variety of things. So the companies that we work with, we really require them to disaggregate information, distill information down to not just women, but women from certain groups, to make sure that the solutions that you're developing to close the gender gap are adapted to the circumstances of the variety of experiences that women have. So organizations that do meaningful work in this space are looking at more than just women. Because what we found in 2020 when we were looking at women across Canada was just certain groups of women were moving forward really well, and then there was a whole host of other women who were being left behind. And I didn't enter this work to leave anyone behind.
No, definitely. That's in Turkey. So we started approaching the issue from that perspective, especially with age, different needs of women.
Exactly.
Especially in the workplace. So we have different generations and they may have different needs. So working together with them, but also meeting their distinct needs is highly important. So we know that there's some legal regulations towards pay transparency in Canada. So that's very good news. I've been reading about this too. So there is like definitely the transparency wave. It's like a wave. And it will definitely shape the social impact and equality policies in the companies. So I'm sure they're very good examples. So from your current experience, and when we look at the Canadian companies, so they'll be moving away from social responsibility towards the operational success criteria. So we definitely want to underline that this is not social responsibility. We should just put it aside and move towards something else more solid. So from your experience, can you share with us some success stories?
Absolutely. One of the things that we were seeing in the evolution of the work that's being done in Canada in this space was compliance does not really change the soul of an organization. And so you really need to be doing this for more than simply checking the box from a compliance perspective. And so transparency builds accountability. Where you have transparency, employees will trust more, consumers will trust more, your partners and your suppliers, everybody trusts more. And so we have legislated in Canada pay transparency. You need to disclose salaries when you're hiring a woman so she knows whether she's being paid equitably compared to her male counterparts. And that has been a catalyst to closing that gap, that pay gap. So we've seen progressively, a significant movement in that space. So we have some examples with our own clients. We actually have a client that very transparently and openly declared to employees two things. First of all, it declared, we've got a serious wage gap. So they were honest and transparent with employees to say, listen, women are not being paid the same as men. And then they committed to making that change. And when they committed to making that change, they also committed to showing the progress they were making. Well, what they saw is employee engagement shot through the roof, 40% improvement in employee engagement. But more than that, customer engagement, customer trust in the organization improved. Therefore, performance metrics improved in every way, and revenue increased. So when I talk to my clients, I say, listen, don't do this stuff because you're good. That's not what you're in this for. Do this because it's the right thing to do for your business. It's the smart thing to do for your business. You will build business value through more equitable practices and having greater gender equity and balance in your organization, and all the data supports that.
Oh, that's a wonderful story, because first we have to admit we've done wrong, and then how can we do this right?
Exactly.
And how can we measure this? So that's very important. That's a lesson to be
And
learned.
we live in a social media era.
Definitely.
If you're not honest, someone will disclose to the world that you're not honest.
Oh, definitely. So thank you so much. I'll move to Merve. So Merve, Oracle is one of the companies who has actually internalized this issue, right? Equality, diversity, inclusion. But I'm curious about how did you define the KPIs, and what are the KPIs, and how do you actually measure your progress? Because that's very important. You may set targets, KPIs, but how do we make sure we meet them, and how do we measure them? So I'd like to ask you about that process.
Thanks, Itır. First of all, it's a big pleasure to be here sharing this stage with such inspirational people who are really contributing to women community, diversity and inclusion. It's a big privilege and pleasure for me. And thanks for having me here, first of all. In Oracle, yes, I feel like I'm one of the lucky people that being in such a peaceful environment, which drives the innovation worldwide, Like, you know, Oracle is a technology company and changes the game in the market, in the entire world for the data management, data applications. But on the other hand, on the cloud side, there are big innovations. But what Oracle believes is innovation starts with inclusion. That is our company culture. That's our motto. You are going to see, if you are close to one of Oracle employees, yes, social media is so super powerful. No one is going to say something rather than this, but you know, what you're going to hear from all of us is, I don't feel like I'm a woman in Oracle. I'm just an Oracle employee, trying to do my best to achieve the goals, targets, KPIs given by the company direction. But on the other hand, yes, it has to be concrete. There should be measurable KPIs. We as a company are well aware of it. We have many measurement KPIs, but it starts with hiring. First, in the hiring phase, you need to attract people without like feeling, would that be suitable for a woman kind of advertisement, you know. There should not be any unconscious bias even in the job application, job description timing. So it all starts with hiring process. You feel it when you're applying. You're just coming for something, addressing a persona, you know. That's what we don't want and we are avoiding of. Second, retain. When you are in the company, you should feel the flexibility and comfort that you have to feel. So that's another second important point for us to make our employees feel. Third, advance. As a woman, no one has to feel that, is that, you know, managerial role or, you know, superior role is suitable for a mother, for a woman, for some like disadvantages in life or, you know, overtime needed, you should not be thinking of any of these. So those are the things that we are trying to encourage our employees and new hires. But on the KPI side, again, I would like to highlight that we are counting and measuring the female applicant ratio in the positions, in the new jobs, promotion equity. When a managerial role is like, you know, up and you can apply for it, we are counting the number of people who are applying to job and their, you know, ethnicities, personalities, gender kind of details. And also, target is zero pay gap between men and women. It's not easy to catch it though, but there are metrics that we are measuring this with transparency and trust within the company, like annual AI-driven regression analysis we are running within company. So, you know, AI is one of the topics that Oracle is investing heavily. So we are using it within our internal applications. So we are monitoring and managing this numbers and ratios as well. Finally, and most importantly, I believe it's the corporate culture. So in corporate culture, every new joiner and also the regular standard employee is going through annual trainings. One of them, and the most important one, is the compliance, ethics and compliance training. In ethics and compliance training, item 1, you know, do not do anything in the, you know, monetizable things. It's okay, it's the biggest sin. But the second largest sin is unconscious bias. Just do not, you know, put any blocker or address anything about the gender, nationality, or religion of the people that you are dealing with, internally or externally. So I can highlight the top KPIs and the measurement metrics like this, I believe, within Oracle.
Excellent. I think you actually set an example for other companies to follow. I'm also curious about how do you engage women talent into the field of technology, because it's our concern as an academic, my concern as well, because we have to make sure STEM is attractive for women, right? We need to attract them to be involved in the ecosystem. As you said, you measure the rates, application rates as well. Do you have programs for this, like attracting young woman talent into the system?
Absolutely. Science, technology, engineering, maths, yes. I mean, Oracle is doing many things in this area because those are our potential for taking the company in another world, in another step. New hires, new members, young people, young talents, we really would love to be very attractive to them, especially in those fields. First, it starts with Oracle Women Leadership Community. We have a community worldwide, more than 100 countries around the world, more than 100,000 of people in this community, men and women, supporting women to elevate within the company. So that's an important program that we are following around. I used to be now I'm the country manager for Oracle Turkey, but I used to be the Oracle Women Leadership Evangelist for the community leader for Turkey for a while, like 5 years or so I did this. And I handed over to a friend very gladly. But right now, we are still following and trying to do our best for women within Oracle. That's one of the attraction points, I think, for the young people. Second, at the universities, we have, like, joint studies, collaborations. Like I was in, on Monday, I was a speaker and the keynote speaker for the Career Week of Yeditepe University last Monday. And I noticed still there are questions about, as a woman, how could you manage to do this? I don't like those kind of questions. I think they are too outdated, I believe in the strength of the person, and if you are trying to achieve your goals, you should find the ground that is equivalent to everyone. If not, we should move. Or change the place where we are. So second and most important thing is Oracle Academy. Oracle Academy is providing free trainings like Oracle Cloud Infrastructure courses, learnings for your personal even development, not only like math, science, and engineering. Those are online courses anyone can apply and attend and follow. So there is a certification path at the end as well. So that's open for anyone. That's second attraction point for Oracle to make women familiar with what we are doing, and skill development. And third, last but not least, is Gen O program. Gen Zero, we say it also. Newly educated people, new graduates, or like fourth class at the universities, colleges, so they can apply to Oracle. They can be long-term interns within Oracle, and preferably women. It's an advantage here. And after a year time, they change their departments like frequently around a month. They spend time in sales, pre-sales, field engineering teams, etc. And at the end, we want them to be a full-time Oracle employee and doing our best for their education. So that's another Gen Zero, Gen O program that we are following to have many more young, talented women with Oracle.
So finally, there is one more issue to be done, right? So how do we engage men and senior management? So we have these KPIs, we have these wonderful programs, but if we don't engage men, and if we don't engage senior management, this doesn't become part of the company culture, right? So how do you engage them?
Yeah, it's, you know what? They are not just supporters in Oracle. They are allies. And they know the responsibility that they're having as an executive in the Oracle. As I said, it's a very well structured and built company corporate culture. It's like doing something with the reflex, It's just, okay, woman needs to elevate. We need them shoulder to shoulder, together, preferably equivalently shared responsibilities in the executive management level. Oracle used to have a CEO, Safra Katz, for 10 plus years, last decade, I can say, a woman, a very strong woman. Right now, we have 2 co-CEOs, which are male. But in Oracle Turkey, what I can say, I'm the 6th country leader of Oracle Turkey in the history of Oracle in Turkey, and 4 of them were women. I'm lucky
great.
enough to be the 4th country leader, 4th woman country leader of Oracle Turkey. Plus, what I can add is, out of those 6 country leaders, 5 of them were started their careers in Oracle as sales rep, or database admin. So from starting point, in 16 years, I could grow myself, my career within Oracle in every step without any bias, without any concern, without like, should I really be applying second thoughts, etc. So I think that's the executive management's comfortable has been provided to us as employees. It's part of culture naturally. And I like to mention that we have a GVP, Global Vice President, a woman, who is the Global Vice President of Culture and Inclusion. That's a title of hers and her theme responsibility, which I mentioned today, so I would like to introduce you to her very gladly. I think you're gonna make great friends. So yeah, I think that's the important part.
Also, thank you so much. I think our guests should go into the Oracle website and
Please
check
do
out
so.
these programs.
I would love to gladly
yeah.
support you, guide you at my best.
Thank you so much. Now I move to Beril, and now we'll talk a bit about the planet and all the inhabitants of the planet, because you have this wonderful project you're coordinating called LEGOFIT project, and you're actually designing energy positive homes which don't only generate their own energy, but they're creating this wonderful equal ecosystem for all the inhabitants, right? How is it going? How did you come up with this project, and what steps did you take towards these homes?
Thank you. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's a really pleasure to be here and with among you and also present our project. It's a European Union project funded by the European Commission, EC. As Demir Enerji, we are the coordinator of this project, consisting of 19 different partners from different sectors: public authorities, academia, research centers, solution providers, SMEs, also construction companies, the building professionals too. We are representing 11 different countries. And in this project, we have 5 pilot cases, one in Turkey, one in Netherlands, and my colleague Ronald will also have some words afterwards, and one in Hungary, and Luxembourg, and Spain. What are energy positive homes? Maybe just let's start a bit technically first, and then we may go on with the humanity part of our project. Energy positive homes are the connected buildings, a group of buildings that they produce more energy than they consume, and they share the surplus of energy with the surrounding through different business models, etc. So first of all, you need to decrease your energy consumptions in your buildings, and then you produce on-site energy, like maybe on the roof you can produce solar energy, or maybe rooftop wind generation, like or geothermal, whatever, the renewable energy production on-site. And then if your production is more than your consumption, then energy flexibility takes place here, which makes the resident, the citizen, participate in the model, and that they are directed to when to use the energy, when is the best time to use the energy. Then you optimize your costs, everything, so you become also very efficient in the system. So as you see, technically it seems easy, like yes, you need to integrate active passive systems, and you need to decrease your consumptions, etc. But of course, it has to be a socio-technological transformation. You know, no one should be left behind. So, and all the technologies, everything should be accepted by the people living there. Otherwise, if you are not included, if the technologies are not accepted, then the system cannot be sustainable. So, in these projects, with this new concept of energy positive homes, the citizen, the resident of the houses, buildings, they take new roles. Before, they are just in the system now, in the conventional system, we are just consumers in our buildings, that we consume energy. But now, with this new concept, you become a prosumer, which means that you produce and consume at the same time. You also take this role of investor, because you now need to invest in your living environment, insulate your building to reduce your energy consumption, or apply PV panels on your roof to generate energy, etc. So you become the investor of this system as well. You may share this investment with relevant public authorities or private partnerships, but you become in the system as an investor. And you're also the participatory designer in the system that we produce together with building professionals, the residents, everybody together, the public authority, the municipalities, everybody together in the system. And also you may become a community member as well. You can build your own energy community, and you can produce energy together with your neighbors in the building, or with other members of the cooperatives, of the communities, where you share your energy and where you also take advantage of it. But there's still this challenge of the low engagement for energy consumption. So how health and well-being then is integrated in the system? We also design a LEGOFIT platform in the project, where there are several services and tools integrated in this platform, like very technically digital twins of these buildings, building information modeling, so-called BIM models, or circularity passports, like your materials of all the buildings are listed in that database, and you use more like low emission materials, etc. So all these tools and services are integrated in this platform, and this platform is a user-friendly platform. It can be used by the residents themselves, or the building professionals as well, that they can. It is for raising awareness and also giving the chance to the resident to design the best option for himself, herself. So it includes everybody in. And with the improvement of air quality and indoor thermal comfort, etc., of course, the health and well-being is also raised in the projects.
So that's very exciting, but I'm probably, like some of our listeners are also wondering, they want to transition, say, into this system, like LEGOFIT, but where do we begin, how do we start? Like, thinking from your international experience, the transition, like how is this possible? How can we actually transition into this mindset, and then physically how can we transition?
It's a really good question. Of course, it's more or less a new concept, and thanks to these kind of EU projects, we can test these concepts in different geographies, representing different climates, different socio-cultural contexts and socio-economic contexts as well. For example, in Spain, it's a renovation building project area, and we are working with multifamily housing buildings. And for example, in Turkey, we are working with Özyeğin University, where we work with students, because it's a student dormitory.
Excellent.
So, and where in Hungary, for example, we are working with social housing, actually, for the elderly people. It's like a nursery for elderly people. And in Luxembourg and Netherlands, we are working with actually for middle to high income people in their single family houses. So we are testing this concept in different, very, very different sociocultural contexts, actually. So the citizen engagement is being supported in the project because it's a socio-technological transformation, as I mentioned earlier. We organize open days, like we open the doors of the implementations, and we invite the stakeholders, internal and external stakeholders, to the open day events, and we showed what we have done in the buildings, in the houses, to the people, and then we organize roundtable workshops where we discuss the outcomes of the implementations and how people there, the residents, how they see it, how they use the platform, or how they reduce their energy, actually, and how, if the system really works as a behavioral change program, because we are trying to monitor the consumptions, everything, and people can view it, review it, and so it also, the system is controlled as well, so the behavioral change program is also in the concept. And last but not least, I think based on these experiments, we are trying to also build social trust in
that's very
in
important,
these
yeah.
different socio-cultural contexts, as I said. And if, when you're in the system, when you're, talking with other people and we are applying these technologies and monitoring your own consumptions even, this also, you also raise the belonging to the
Definitely.
community. The interest, the community attachment is also increased. Health and well-being, as I said, improvement of the air quality, improvement of the quality of space, like working environment, but also living environment, of course. They also, we build capacities for all these topics, I might say. And just want to also close with a, how I see this, the title of this event is Humanity, the values for humanity,
Yes.
planet and the future. I think the direct benefits of our project, like reduction of energy, using low emission materials, whatever the technical part is referring to the planet, but the indirect benefits, the secondary benefits that I just counted, like the social trust, the health and well-being, or the community attachment, etc., they are representing the humanity part. So, and the future is all for humanity and planet together, I hope.
Oh, definitely. Like how you mentioned prosumers, so that's also a mind shift, right? It's a mindset shift, like from a consumer into a prosumer. So we'll ask a question to Ronald. Is he still there?
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah. I'll. So now low tech.
So sorry.
Okay. Ronald, are you there? Can you hear us? Yeah, can he hear us? Hey, can you hear us? Do you think he can hear us? So we do everything, but we create, energy positive homes, but it's a challenge connecting to.
You're right.
Ronald, are you there? Yeah. Excellent, but
we cannot see him. I don't know.
Can we see him or hear him?
No, if not, then maybe we talk on phone. It's also okay.
Hello. We have a group of friends here, a lot of participants, but we'll try to make sure they can hear you. Otherwise, I'll just speak for you. So we have a question for you. We've been talking about your project in the Netherlands, but we really wanted to hear from you. How can you actually involve women and girls, just transition them into decision makers rather than just users?
Well, this is the first time that we do a meeting like this by WhatsApp. So
Yeah, this is the first time for me as well. So, but
then we have something in common. But I'll first introduce myself. My name is Ronald Folbert. I'm 65 years old. I'm living in the Netherlands. I'm working in my daily life by a construction firm called Heijmans. And with this firm, we want to also make a healthy living environment. And that's the reason that also LEGOFIT fits by us, because we want to contribute to creating a healthy living environment so that everyone, also the young people and the women, want to breathe clean air, live in a nice surroundings, enjoy the nature, have a good workplace, travel safely from A to B, also in everything what we build, and at the end of the day, return home in a good health and have a nice place to stay. And what you ask me first at all, because we are a construction firm, we design the energy solution, and that's also what Beril have explained. But when we make that design, we do this also from a community perspective. So we want to understand and understood what the people who are living in our houses want. So we have a kind of co-creation sessions, and also with women and young people, because they are also living in our houses. And we want to shape our complete houses in also what they want to know. And for that reason, we want to also explain our energy model. panel, but also how it works to live in a comfortable home. So that you're coming home and you have in the Netherlands we have also bad weather, so that you have a home what is feels like to live in. And their experience of all the people, not only on energy, but also the whole house, and also the mobility, and also the safety in the direction of their house, that is something what we take into our technical design. And that's the reason one of the main issues we want to build a healthy living environment for everyone. And second, and that's also I think it's important, it's not only a technical issue, because it's also a social issue. That's also what we believe, that we should also all non-technical stakeholders that they want to have a participation in our project. And it's also for young people and women. In Nune, what we have built now in LEGOFIT, we have built family single houses, but in our company we built also houses only for young people. And it's called the Heijmans One. And then we are especially looking for to create houses for what is exactly in mean with a healthy living environment.
So, thank you so much. This was the first for me as well. You should see our, like how we look. But I'm sure Beril will send you photos.
I like that, and especially for us, and that's also what is important for LEGOFIT, and that's also what Beril explained. We believe that an energy positive house is a start, but what we want is a positive energy district, so that you can share your energy, you can share what's going on in your life with your neighbors, and that's very important. And especially for energy, it's not normal.
Definitely. So thank you so much, Ronald, for joining us. Despite our technical challenges, we were able to connect you. So thank you so much. Hope to meet you in person someday. Thank you. You all saw like how flexible these women can be and manage technical challenges. So thank you so much. I learned a lot from you. So I'm sure our participants also did. Please visit their websites, check their projects, and connect with them because they have a lot to share. They have amazing experiences to share and empower us all. Thank you so much, Nicole, Beril, Merve. It was an honor being with you on stage, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And Ronald, thank you.